Michelle, you ready? Okay. Port Hueneme City Council regular meeting and Housing Authority regular meeting and closed session is now in order here, October 1st, 2018. Could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Sharkey. Mayor Pro Tem Berg.
Here.
Mayor Schnapp.
Here. So we have 2 excused absences and we do have a quorum. Let's go on to public comments for the closed session, and we'll reserve 10 minutes here for anyone who'd wish to speak during this time. I do have a speaker card by Jesse LaForest. Jesse, are you here? Come on up, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members, mayor, and city staff. My name is Jesse LaForest. I am your electrical instrumentation technician for the city. Been working with the city for 16 years. I'm also currently on the bargaining team for the union side. I'm here today to talk to you about that you're going to be presented in council about a proposal that we have given to the city. And I just wish for you to take into consideration the many years that your staff has provided for your city and has at many times given up. And we feel that throughout the process, each negotiation, especially this one, that we've been fair, and we feel that the proposal that we have is fair. And we just would hope you would consider that when you look at it. And we thank you that we can partner up with you guys and hopefully get the city on the track that we need to get it on. But we do feel we've done our part, and so please keep consideration when you're making your decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? No? Okay. All right, thank you. And is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? This is for closed session, but we do have a speaker card, but I was told it was for the regular meeting, and that's Timothy Taylor, but you're welcome to speak now if you'd like, whoever Timothy is. You should wait. It's for the regular meeting that you want to speak, not the closed session? Just want to make sure. Okay, so we'll call you then when we come back from closed session and start the regular meeting after 6:30? Okay. All right, so seeing no one else who wants to speak during closed session, we have a couple of items on the ticket here. So, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you pointed out, there are 2 items on the closed session agenda tonight. The first is listed as number CS3, Conference with Labor Negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are Linda Catherine Lee, Deputy City Manager, Finance Director Ken McDonald, and Stephen M. Berliner, Special Counsel. The employee organization is SEIU 721 Southern California Public Service Workers. The second item, CS4, is Conference with Real Property Negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. The property in question is in Port Hueneme at 501 East Channel Islands Boulevard, Suites 9 and 10. The agency designated representatives are Rod Butler, City Manager, Charles Green, City Attorney, Tony Stewart, Community Development Director. The negotiating parties are Summer and Alec Gillis, DBA Harvest Bloom, and under negotiations are negotiation of terms of a development agreement. And that concludes the list.
Okay, super. So the council will then recess into closed session and will return at 6:30 for the regular meeting. Thank you.
here down here.
Okay, we've reconvened from closed session. We'll call the 6:30 regular city council meeting to order here with the agenda. Could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Fig. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Sharkey. Mayor Pro Tem Berg.
Here.
Mayor Schnapp.
Here, we have 2 excused absences, so this is what you have for tonight. And let's go ahead and do the flag salute, and then it'll be followed by my inspiration. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Well, here we are. We welcome October with maybe some fall weather, the end of the year. And I want to start out here by a quote from Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And I want to let you know that in a couple of months, we'll be saying goodbye to a longtime council member, former mayor and former mayor pro tem, John Sharkey. We'll have a few other things that we'll be recognizing him with. I know that I've enjoyed the time that I've served with him on the council. It's been about 10 and a half years that I've served with him here. He has served our city diligently and just had a sheer pleasure of really doing good things for the city for 24 years. So I just wanted to recognize him here, even though he's not here physically, but knowing that we'll have some goodbye ceremonies then coming up for him, so stay tuned. Thank you. Did you have a question?
I thought we were supposed to have a report from the
It's
attorney.
on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it'll follow mine. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Yeah, so we have we've already done the roll call. Yeah, so we have item number 4 here, the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so motion carries. Agenda is approved. We have then item number 5, reportable actions from closed session. Mr. City Attorney.
Madam Mayor, with respect to item CS3, labor negotiations, there's no reportable action. With respect to CS4, the property negotiations, that matter was not taken up.
All right, thank you so much. And we go on to item number 6, presentations from Gold Coast Transit, annual report to the community. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening, Council, Mayor, members of Council. My name is Vanessa Rauschenberger. I'm Director of Planning and Marketing at Gold Coast Transit District. I'm happy to be here today to present our annual report to the community, which you should have a copy in front of you. Steve Brown couldn't be here today. He's heading back from a quick vacation to Arizona, but I know he wanted to thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to speak today. Who we are, Gold Coast Transit District, we provide public transit in Western Ventura County to Port Hueneme, Oxnard, Ventura, Ojai, and the County of Ventura. We serve about 3.7 million annual rides per year on our fixed route and our paratransit services. And we are in Port Hueneme. One of our most popular routes is the Route 1, which is our bus that serves on the Surfside area. You might see it go by. I just wanted to touch on a few of the highlights from last year, including our grants that we were awarded in the past year. We have 2 exciting grants. One of them, which would be the Naval Base First Mile, Last Mile study. That study is going to be done in partnership with SCAG and will allow us to do some outreach with those who live and work at the Naval Base and around the Naval Base here in Port Hueneme to talk about what their transit needs might be in the near future and how we can address them. Another grant project that we're working on with SCAG is the Building Transit Supportive Communities Grant, and that will be a grant that will allow us to do some training with planning staff across our whole entire region to learn about what future decisions they make and how it might impact the ability for the public to use public transit. Some programs I want to highlight. This past year at Gold Coast, we implemented a mobile fare app called Token Transit, which allows our customers to buy their fares using a mobile app. We also completed this summer a free Summer Saturdays program, which allowed us to raise ridership by 17% on 6 summer Saturdays. We're also proud to participate along with VCTC in the College Ride Free program, which we're already seeing ridership increases on the students riding to Oxnard College, Ventura College, CLU, CSUCI, and Moorpark College. And we also implemented this past year an improved scheduling software system for our paratransit service. Some capital projects I want to highlight this past year that we are implementing in the process of working on is the Near Zero Engine Rehabilitation Program. And that program is a process that we are replacing our CNG buses with near zero emission engines that are significantly cleaner than our traditional CNG bus engines. We are also in the process of replacing our bus stop signs at 600 locations across our service area, which there's a graphic inside your report. And then some of you may have noticed we have a large construction site going on in Oxnard, just behind the Costco. We are building our new transit operations facility there, which we are expecting to move to in January of 19. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, several years ago through our short-range transit plan, we had worked on a plan for a new bus route along Ventura Road, starting from Oxnard College, going up through Port Hueneme and connecting the Naval Base to the collection. We're excited to let you know that we did receive grant funding to do a pilot of that route, which we're planning to start in July of next year. We've already been working with your staff, and we want to thank Charles Cable, Don Villafana, and your Public Works Department who have been working with us on preparing for the bus stops needed for that route. We're very much looking forward to that, and we'll come back with more information as next year approaches as we get closer to launching that route. So with that, I just want to ask if there's any questions. Thank you again for allowing me the chance to give you a presentation on our highlights. I'm very happy to come here today.
All right, thank you, thank you. So yes, Councilmember Hensley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your appearance here. You people are making a critical change for transportation. I know it's long and laborious and a lot of things to fill on. A couple of questions. Number one, is it permissible or illegal to smoke at bus stops?
It is, depending on your city's ordinance for smoking. Every city has ordinance of smoking in public. My understanding is that most of the cities, I'm not sure about Port Hueneme, have passed ordinances regarding smoking in public. So bus stops are under the jurisdiction of your city. The bus stops are owned, maintained by your city, and you guys do a great job of that. So it's per your city's discretion whether you allow.
Okay. You're different than VCTC.
VCTC,
yeah.
yes, is different.
I understood they had a law against it. Could somehow or another we look upon to see if we have a law about smoking at bus stops, please, Mr. Butler? And number two, covers, but that would be, do we make the bus stops or do you make the bus stops?
The city installs the bus shelters at the bus stops. We provide guidance on which bus stops have the highest ridership. And we have a bus stop guidelines that we recommend the level of ridership, which stops might benefit from a bench or a shelter, and then based on that we recommend amenities to the city. Those are up to the discretion of the city staff on which bus stops get certain amenities, and then the maintenance is also up
Okay.
to the city staff.
Again, Mr. Butler, perhaps we could look at the idea of making sure all bus stops have some sort of shade and shelter on top of it.
Sure.
That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know what, just to answer your question, Councilmember Hensley, is that we have over time adjusted those shelters, whether or not, or the bus stops, whether or not they do have, you know, shelters or not. So we've worked with our staff before, just to let you know, but we can continue looking at it to see if anything has changed for sure. Yeah, thank you.
I think, yeah, most Port Hueneme stops have pretty nice shelters, so.
Yeah. Did you have a question,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Berg?
No, just compliments. Vanessa, thank you very much for your presentation, and some of the things that Gold Coast is doing these days is really pretty exciting. I love the new Route 23 covering all of Ventura Road, all the way down to Hueneme Road. So we've got coverage down here now, and is that 6 days a week that happens?
The new Ventura Road route that we're starting will be 7 days a week.
7.
And we're planning to start it at a frequency of every 30 minutes during the peak hour, so it'll provide really good coverage to the naval base that's never been there before. I mean, we have service currently in Port Hueneme that serves the beach area, that goes through Market Street and then goes up through Channel Islands and Saviors. This will be a Ventura Road route, which is currently the largest arterial in the area that doesn't have transit service. So we're really excited about that, and we think it'll generate some good ridership
So
and access
ridership all the way to the collection.
all the way to the collection. Yes.
It's great. Thank you very much for your report.
And Vanessa, I do have a couple of comments. Real excited then about the Route 23 for sure, and share that good news with Mayor Pro Tem Berg, recognizing you all for doing that. And so will it actually, it won't be a loop, it'll just go up and down then Ventura Road?
It will be bidirectional, so the service will go northbound every 30 minutes and southbound every 30 minutes during the peak hour. And then once at the collection, passengers can go there. They can transfer on to other routes on either end of the route. So either all along the route or at Oxnard College or the collection will be the two endpoints.
So I'd love to see what kind of stops we have both northbound and southbound in the city of Port Hueneme on Ventura Road, because I know sometimes it gets pretty congested out there with the lanes.
Yeah.
Yes, did you have something there, Mayor
More,
Pro
thank
Tem
you.
Berg?
Also, this will provide, again, transportation, not just to the collection, but to Oxnard College. So students in the community can go to,
Get to
take that for Oxnard College as well, so.
Yeah. And one other thing, too, I really like the idea of finding out what the naval base needs, because I know they're a big part of our community, most certainly in Port Hueneme, and knowing what they may see in the future and what the folks who are enlisted and others need to get to and from work, to and from school, et cetera, that would be wonderful if there could be something worked out with them. So thank you for moving forward on that pre-planning work.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, any other questions? No? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vanessa. Okay, so then what happens here is the city council recesses the city council meeting and goes into a couple of other meetings here. We'll do the surplus property authority and then reconvene. I guess we only go into the surplus property at this point, right? Okay, so we'll go ahead and open the surplus property authority, or better known as SPA, regular meeting. It is SPA 1. We have the agenda review. Is there a motion to
Move
approve the
approval.
agenda?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, so motion carries, agenda's approved. And then we have SBA 2, consent agenda.
Again, move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? So motion carries on consent agenda unanimously. And then we go to SPA 3, which is open forum. And this is where we allow anyone wishing to speak to the board, the Surplus Property Authority Board, on any matters not on the agenda may do so at this time. Okay, seeing none. Then are there any board comments? We move on to agenda item number 4 for surplus property. None? All right. All right, so seeing none, we then reconvene to the regular city council meeting. And at this point, on the city council agenda, we have item number 7, open forum. And that's where we reserve up to 30 minutes at this point on the agenda for anyone wishing to speak to the council on matters not on the agenda. And I do have 3 speaker cards, and I'm assuming, Ms. City Clerk, that they are for open forum, all 3? Okay. So the first speaker card I have is Timothy Taylor. And you can come up to the podium. You'll be provided 3 minutes. And yes, speak into the microphone. There you go.
Okay, Madam Mayor, City Council, staff, public at large. My name is Tim Taylor. I'm with Save the Port Hueneme Coast, and I'm here today to mention an event that we're going to have on Tuesday, the 10th, 10/16, and the doors open at 6:30. The location is going to be right next to the library, the Carpenter Community Center. And remember that the doors open up at 6:30, and what this is a candidates forum for city council members. So the public is invited to come out, get an understanding, get familiar with the candidates, and make a decision for yourself on who do you want to vote for. And I appreciate your time. Remember, it's 10/16. Doors open up at 6:30. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, so the next speaker card I have is Becky Bruning.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and staff. Tonight I'm here on behalf of the museum, and I just want to give you an update on what we have coming up. On October the 6th, we'll have Laura Hernandez, who will talk about civic engagement through disaster preparedness. On October 20th, Richard Sennett will talk ghost and haunted places in Ventura County. And then on Sunday, October 21st, we'll have Diane Montner and Connie Kornstein doing a performance about the Brandeis sisters on New York's radio station WCOR. On October 27th, we have Jerry Olson talking about Adolfo Camarillo. On November 11th, we have our 3rd annual Veterans Day here at City Hall at 8:30 a.m. Every first Sunday, we have rock painting workshop at noon. Every second Sunday is sea glass class at 12:30 p.m. Third Friday of each month, we have the Port of Hueneme tour for the port. Every third Sunday, we have a knot tying class at noon. Every fourth Sunday is scrapbooking workshop at noon. And we have a new class now. Every second and fourth Thursday, we have an origami class. So if you want to learn origami, come on in. And on May the 4th, we are doing our youth involvement fair at the community center, and we've already got a lot of youth groups lined up to come in and set up tables, and we're hoping to get a lot of participation from the community and have some kids come in and sign up for some great activities. So that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Becky. Any questions or comments? Thank you. And then I have one other speaker card, Linda Cuevas. Hi.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to address you guys properly. It just my first time
You
coming.
can just
so.
say hello, City Council.
Just say
City Council.
Hello.
Hi. I don't know if this is the right forum, but I was just wondering how the city determines what's appropriate to have on your front lawn, because it seems like my neighbors get citations for you don't cut your lawn or your tomato plants are growing too much or something, but yet we have a neighbor whose house looks like he's having a constant yard sale, and last week we had a fire, and I just want to know what's being done and how that's being addressed, because it doesn't seem very fair. It just seems random. So I don't know if this is the right place or who I should ask or where to start.
That's a good question. I'll refer to the city manager here for
Sure.
an answer.
The guy in the kind of burgundy tie over there, Tony Stewart, is our Director of Community Development. He oversees code compliance, which is what this would fall under.
Okay.
So make sure to go over and just give him your name and address. And maybe if you know the address of the property where the issue is, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
But yeah, Community Development Department, code compliance, and Tony's the director.
Okay, so if there's an issue going forward, I can just call. I don't have to.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Take his
Thank you.
business card.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. All right. And is there anyone else wishing to speak to the council on any matters not on the agenda? All right. So we'll have some time for an open forum at the end of the meeting if something comes to mind. But let's move on with the agenda items. We have a public hearing here, item number 8. So we'll verify posting of the notice by city clerk. Yes, it was posted. Are there any council members declaring any conflict here on the item? Seeing none?
None.
None. Council members declare any ex parte contacts?
None.
All right. Then I will open up the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation. We'll continue with public testimony, closing the public testimony, and then the city council will discuss with possible action. So, as we open then the public hearing, staff presentation, Mr. Tony Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Might be a minute here while we wait for the screen to come down. One quick correction. In the closed session, which we ended up not having anyway, the agenda mentioned the address was 501. It's actually 521 Channel Islands. And all of the documents with regard to this particular hearing item do reflect 521. I'll show you the difference between the two buildings once we get into the presentation here. So the application before us this evening is an application by Summer and Alec Gillis, both of which are in the audience to answer questions if you have any at the end of this presentation. And they are representing their company Harvest Bloom, which is a cannabis delivery service. So they are basically what they call a non-retail dispensary. In other words, they don't have a storefront. They only make deliveries, so you don't have customers coming to the location. This particular location is Suites 9 and 10 on the second floor of 521 West Channel Islands Boulevard in the C1 zone, which does allow cannabis uses subject to approval of a certificate of approval, conditional use permit, and development agreement. This is also consistent with the general plan's land use designation of commercial for the site. On September 11th, the city manager awarded the applicants a certificate of approval, and we moved on to the conditional use permit and development agreement portions of the project. Quickly, to the north is the Harbor Lights residential community. To the south is Channel Islands, along with the golf course at the Naval Base, Ventura County. To the east are the Hardy Mall building and similar commercial uses to the existing building, and then to the west is Wheelhouse with Mandalay Village beyond. The nearest school is approximately 3,200 feet away, which is in the city of Oxnard. The applicants are not proposing any changes to the site plan, but I'd also like to point out that this property we've already discussed once before for a similar application. This was by the property owner at the time, Zahir Lalji, and this was for his own dispensary on the first floor of the building. And as you may recall, he gave a presentation at the city council meeting to you folks and let you know what his overall plans were for the area, which was he purchased this building and the Hardy Mall building next door because he wanted to create kind of a cannabis type campus wherein not only would there be dispensaries, but there would also be other types of businesses such as this delivery business, cultivation operations, healing centers and whatnot. In fact, he calls it the Healing Center of Hueneme Beach. So this application is a component of that larger picture that he presented you at the time. And also just to let you know, we are currently processing an application for a small cultivation operation just down the hall from this subject delivery service. And also are in discussions with another team for a similar small cultivation operation within the adjacent Hardy Mall building. So the site here, let's see if I can get this thing working. So this is the subject building itself. This is the Hardy Mall building. So this is 501, and then this is 521. And the applicant's suites are approximately right here on the second floor.
Okay, we don't see that on this screen, so go ahead. What was that?
So here we have 521, the subject building, and then this is the Hardy Mall building at 501. So this is the building we're discussing. Okay. And just quickly, the site plan showing the subject building in relationship to the parking lot and whatnot. And the second floor plan, again, the suites are in the cross-hatched area. Hours of operation will be 9 to 9, 7 days per week, with deliveries ending by the close of business. And that means having the actual delivery person back on site by the end of business, not out making a last delivery. Customers must be at least 21 years of age or older, 18 if it's for medicinal. Odor control will be through carbon filter system. There will be security guards on site in the dispensary area itself. Staffing, again, must be 21 years of age or older. And the applicants have noted in their community benefits section, they would like to provide resources to local nonprofits working with veteran support in the local area, such as the Wounded Warriors Project, as well as the local BFW host. Quickly, as I mentioned, there is a development agreement component to this application, and the reason why we do that here in this city is we don't have a cannabis tax. And therefore, per the cannabis ordinance and the implementing resolution, we do use cannabis as a source of revenue for the city, and the development agreement is our tool for doing that. With regard to this particular development agreement, similar to all other development agreements we've done for cannabis uses, the applicant has agreed to pay a contractual payment of 5% of their gross annual revenues to the city's general fund. They will maintain all books and records accurately and pay for up to 2 audits per year. And they will open their business within 1 year of the approval here and obtain a certificate of occupancy for doing so. The project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, because it is basically an existing facility. No modifications are being proposed. And finally, with regard to the fiscal impact and revenues that would be generated or estimated to be generated for the city, the first year would be $850,000 in gross revenues, second year a little over $1 million, and third a little over $1.3 million, and that equates to a little over $42,000 revenue for the first year to the city, going up to $53,000 for the second year, and up to about $65,000 for the third year. And so with that, it's staff's recommendation that the council open the hearing and take testimony and documentary evidence, close the public hearing, consider that evidence. After considering the evidence, adopt the resolution that conditionally approves CUP 851 and determines the project is exempt from CEQA, and introduce the ordinance which approves the development agreement 852, accompanied by title only, and waive further reading. Approval would follow at the next regularly scheduled council meeting, or 4, take such additional related action as may be desirable. And with that concludes staff's report. And as I mentioned, the applicants, Summer and Alec Gillis, are here in the audience, should you have any questions for them specifically.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Are there any, well, hold on just a second. Let's take public testimony. Sorry about that. So is there anybody from the public wishing to speak? Okay. So then I'll close the public testimony. And City Council, do you have any questions for staff? No? Was that no?
Let's
No?
vote.
Let's vote?
Let's vote.
I'd like to know who the business owners are. So, okay, great. All right. So let's see. Can you introduce them? Like who's who?
Who are these people?
Yes, so,
Come on up.
Come on up. Yeah, yeah.
so we have Summer Gillis here and her husband Alec.
Okay. All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you have a different business or the same kind of business in another area in
We
California?
do in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how long have you had that one
For
open?
3 years.
3 years? Okay. All right. And it serves both purposes, medicinal and personal use?
It does.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess you're still in business. It's been 3 years, and that's one of the, I think, the benchmarks of if a business is going to succeed after 3. It, if you've gotten past the 3, you can keep moving, and that sounds good.
Odds are good.
Good.
It's exciting.
Good. Okay. Do you have any other family members that are involved in the business?
I actually do. I have a cousin who has a non-storefront retail business that's licensed in San Francisco. as
Okay. All right. Knowing, I think that's what I've seen is, a track record of the families are involved.
Well, it
a few
is,
more.
because we actually came from small business that had nothing to do with cannabis and kind of launched into this due to medical issues, and it's been a journey, but it's been a really good one. So
Okay.
we're excited.
And are you folks you live in the San Francisco area?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We've actually rented a place here as well, so we are finding this our home away from home as well. We love it down here. My husband is ex-Navy, so a veteran, and that's part of our community benefit.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, and she grew up in Northern California, so this is kind of like the meeting of minds. It's
live in Northern California because that's where the wife is from.
Yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how did you find us?
Pure to luck. I mean, it's just been a miracle. So it's.
We actually
We
just
really
through
like it here, yeah.
mutual friends of Zahur and Sergio, we've found that location and have wanted to expand statewide. So that's part of our plan.
Okay. And what does Harvest Bloom mean? Does it stand for something, the name?
No.
No? Okay. I know these
That was pretty.
these kind of different questions for you. Okay.
So I actually have a background in women's boutiques, and so part of the big push with this was to keep sort of a boutique feel, higher end, quality product, and Harvest Bloom seemed to fit that
Okay.
idea of what we were
Okay.
looking for.
Great. All right. Any questions for the couple? No? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Tony,
thanks.
thank you, and staff, thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. So then we've closed the public testimony, city council discussion, and possible action. So what would you like to do?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Could we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Fig? Councilmember Hensley?
Here.
Yes.
Is that a
Mayor
yes?
Pro Tem Berg?
It's a yes or a no.
You said here.
You said here. I thought I heard a yes, but I wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Berg?
Yes.
Mayor Schnapp?
Yes. So with that, then, we'll move forward then for Mr. City Attorney to make an announcement then.
We are required to read the title of the ordinance by state law. The ordinance which you have introduced tonight is entitled An Ordinance Approving and Adopting a Development Agreement under Government Code Section 65864 to 65869.5, and ordinance number 727 and ordinance number 734 of the Port Hueneme Municipal Code relating to the operation of a cannabis facility, Harvest Bloom. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, very good. Congratulations.
Welcome to Port Hueneme.
Yeah. All right. So we move on to item number 9, consent agenda, and that would be for items 9A through 9F.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Okay, so motion carries. So we can actually ask for public comments for consent agenda items only. So if somebody wanted to speak to us on any of those items, they could do so at this time. Seeing none. Okay. And if we have anything by that would need to be read by title only, then the city attorney would take care of that. And we don't have anything
Nothing
on the
tonight.
agenda? Okay. All right. So let's move on to item number 10 then. Yep. Item number 10, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Berg suggested before the meeting, I think it's a good idea that, and especially since I see candidate Stephen Gama in the audience today too, he has some questions about this, and one of the things applies to him. We're in political season now, campaign season, and we've had some issues with signs that came up over the weekend. Several people commented that they saw on Saturday, which was Banana Festival Day, some basically those A-frame sandwich signs throughout the city on the medians that said, yes on Measure U, and then had information from Ocean View Pavilion on the wrestling, live wrestling from Hollywood taping that was going on at the Ocean View Pavilion that afternoon. So the thing we wanted to make clear is that those signs were not placed by the city, nor was the city aware of the fact that they were going to be placed. If we had been, we would have explained to the people that placed the signs that you can't place campaign signs in the public right-of-way. So that was something we will address. There were private citizens who placed those there. They happen to be private citizens who support Measure U, but we need to make sure that they're following the campaign sign laws, and we will address that with them. As it relates to Stephen, your pickup truck, your mobile signs with the Gama for Council pickup truck, those, if you have that on private property, those are fine, and you would need to have public, you'd have to have permission of the private property owner to have it parked there, but you can't park it in the public right-of-way. So Tony Stewart can talk to you about that. If you have any questions about what is public right-of-way and what isn't, he can clarify that for you. But I know since you had asked about the other signs this weekend, I wanted to, while I had you in person here, just address that with you, that you can't park the vehicle with the sign in the public roadway. And we can follow up on that if you have any questions following the meeting.
I would just like to add to that, everything that Mr. Butler says is right on spot, but I want to make it clear that our restrictions don't regarding signage in the right-of-way do not apply just to campaign signs. They apply to any form of signs, so that we don't clutter up the public right-of-way or create safety issues.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that report. Anything else, Mr. City Manager?
That's it for this evening.
Okay, all right. Any council members with reports, comments, and requests for future agenda items? So we'll start with you, Councilmember Hensley.
Two things. I hope we come forth with our public works for the cameras and so on. The next meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Villafana is going to bring that forward 2 weeks from tonight, October 15th.
Okay, very good. One of the other things I just lightly mentioned, I reviewed both the Bob Allen YouTube tape of our candidates forum. His came across outstandingly. Our cities, our cameras just don't have the quality. They don't compare the two. I mean, I'm just saying that we can still do some upgrades. Plus that, just looking down on the people's head here, we need, we've talked about it before, we need something for the people at the podium. I don't see why that can't be wired. I'd like to see us get nice and professional, you know.
So something that shows people their faces as they are speaking at the podium.
Because people want to see a person's face, you know. You can, and particularly when you're talking. And if you're trying to transcribe something for a legal matter, you have a much better perspective of it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anything, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Yes, this last weekend was the Banana Festival over at the port. It was the 7th annual festival. They actually had a pretty good turnout. About 12,000 people were estimated to have transited in and out all day long. The police department had a dunking tank there, which a lot of people took advantage of. Thank you very much, Chief. Hope we made a little money for the explorers, et cetera, on that tank. Excellent, wow. Excellent, good. And also, though, at the port, the port had a container there where they were collecting clothes, shoes, backpacks, and other items for children that once they fill this container or get to December the 10th, that is the deadline, they're going to be packing this container up and putting it on one of the Del Monte banana ships and taking it down to Guatemala for orphans and children down there. We obviously have our issues and problems with homeless people and poverty here. It's a lot worse down in Guatemala, and this is a good way for citizens here in the community to help out. Now, you can contact the port directly. Phone number is 488-3677, or go on down to the port's office on Panoma Street with any contributions that you may have. Again, we have until December 15 is the deadline to take items. They hope to fill that 40-foot container for kids down in Guatemala. So please pass the word around the community, share, and look in the garage, look in the overhead, see what you might have laying around. Anything will help. And we'd appreciate your support on this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I just have one thing. The Friends of the Port Hueneme Library usually have an annual tea. It sells out. I'm not so sure if it's sold out, but it's coming up here on Sunday, October 21st, and it's a pretty popular thing. It's the largest fundraiser for the library. With that, then, we'll move on to item number 12, continuation of open forum. So this is where we give the public an opportunity to speak to items not on the agenda. This is the second half of the public comment period. And anybody wishing to speak to us on those matters, or none? Okay. All right. So then we will adjourn to the regular meeting scheduled on October 15th here at City Hall at 6 p.m. Thank you.